Good morning, folks. I'm attorney Roger P. Foley, and I'm driving to work this wonderful Thursday morning. Yesterday I was in court. I'm going to tell you a story. I was in court, and I was actually on Zoom. The day before I was physically in court, but yesterday I was on Zoom. And a case is called up. I know the prosecutor very well. I'm not going to say his name. There's a defense attorney, there's a Spanish interpreter, and it turns out that the individual, the defendant, is being charged with vehicular homicide, manslaughter, leaving the scene of a crime resulting in death. Now, the courtroom was full. I was waiting. There's my tire light. My tire pressure just went down 1 pound. I hope I don't have a flat. Anyway, vehicular homicide, manslaughter, leaving of the scene of an accident resulting in death. And the person was being sentenced, and he's facing a lot of years, right? Manslaughter by itself is 15 years. Vehicular homicide is actually a first-degree felony. Leaving the scene of an accident with death, I'm not sure if it's a second or a third, but he's facing a lot of years, right? So the judge is going through the plea, and the prosecutor proffers the facts, meaning he shares the facts with the court and what the resolution is, what he and the defense attorney have agreed to. Nothing abnormal there. The defendant ultimately was being sentenced to, I think it was 8.5 years, 8.5 years, Florida State Prison, followed by, in addition to, I don't remember if he got probation or not after, I don't recall. I think it was 8.5 years straight. And his license was being taken for permanent license revocation, meaning you'd never be able to get a license. Now, turns out, as part of the facts, part of that proffer, that the person did not have a driver's license. Now, I don't know where the person's from. I don't know if they're a U.S. citizen or not a U.S. citizen. I don't know if they're legally here, not illegally here. I don't know the answers to those questions. But here's what happens. The prosecutor lets the judge know, Judge, the victim's mother is here and would like to address the court and the defendant, right? There's laws. There's Marcy's Law. And even before Marcy's Law, I don't know why they make Marcy's Law such a big deal, but victims always have an opportunity to speak, right? So this woman gets up there and she's distraught. She lost her daughter. As she's speaking, it is so heartfelt. I'm watching it on Zoom, right, in my spare bedroom, and I'm finding myself getting emotional. Now, I'm an emotional guy, so that's nothing new. But she's telling a story, and she says, "You made a bad decision. You made a bad decision that took the life of my daughter." Took the life of my daughter. And she's crying, and she's holding up a picture frame, and she's got a, kind of like you do in elementary school, like this big cardboard thing. I don't know, whatever it's called. It's like a big bulletin board, and it's got little pictures of her family, and her daughter had a child. That child was one years old, 1 year old child. It was going to be the decedent, right, the person who died, this woman's daughter's first Mother's Day as a mother, right? She, or obviously a young mom, probably, early 20s. And she talks about how excited her daughter was about being a mother. about having a child, about just days prior talking about how excited she was that this was her first Mother's Day. As a woman, her first day where she is celebrated as a mother, and that she was doing everything she could to be the best mom possible, right? There's no books on this. And I'm telling you guys, like, it tore at my heartstrings. And it bothers me now, right? I mean, a loss of life. There's nothing more beautiful than life. There's nothing to be cherished more than life. And I'm starting to tear up. I'm not sobbing, but I'm teared up. And this woman says it was her first Mother's Day, and she died on Mother's Day. She passed away on Mother's Day, the day that she was celebrating with her mother and her child and the rest of the family. This woman, this mother of the decedent, looks at the defendant and says, look, when you get out of prison, I hope you change. I hope you make the right decisions, right? Don't drink and drive. Don't drive an automobile if you don't have a driver's license. Don't leave the scene of an accident where you might be able to save a life that you just caused to be in jeopardy, right? But she does it in a kind way, in a Christian way. And then she tells the defendant, I forgive you. I forgive you for what you did to my daughter, what you did to me, what you did to my grandchild. The tears are strolling down my face as I'm sitting at my house watching on Zoom. I look, I'm choked up. I mean, I'm looking at the prosecutor, someone who I've had a lot of big cases with, and I'm looking at him and I'm wondering, like, is he about to, and I can see it on his face. What a tough moment, right? Because he's standing beside them. This woman is crying. I watched the prosecutor put his hand on her shoulder. And that makes me even more sensitive to the situation, because now I see not only this person struggling, I see the prosecutor struggling. I see the victim advocate that's standing next to her that's pulling out tissues to hand it to her. And I can see the sadness in their faces, especially the prosecutor, because it's a guy that I know, you know? And if he sees this, he'll know exactly. I'm not going to say names. I look around at the rest of the courtroom. There's a bunch of people. There's other prosecutors. There's public defenders. There's defense attorneys standing in line. And none of them have any emotion. People are talking and laughing. And I'm going, seriously, I understand when you got to whisper, you're talking like you're in court, you know, hey, I got this courtroom. I get all that. They got their cases. But what is happening to our society that when you can have a full room, it could be the most glorious of days, but there's another human being who's experiencing pain, that is crying, that is standing in front of a microphone with a 8x10, photograph of her daughter, the mother of the grandchild, this bulletin board thing with a bunch of pictures of the grandchild with the mom, right? A newly born child, talking about the pain and the loss and the grief. And then on top of it, she's the humanity that woman has to say, listen, I forgive you for what you've done. I just want you and hope for you that you will be better in the future and you will bring something to society. And people are just like, yeah, well, I'm next. And hey, you got the translator. Is she still? I'm like, I'm watching this on camera and I'm going, is it just me? Because I have tears coming down my face, I look at the prosecutor, and I'm telling you, the guy's about to lose it, and he's a tough guy, right? I see the victim advocate. She's getting the napkins, and you can see like this. I don't know what's the word, somber. Like it's just this, like it's distressed face of, oh my goodness, I wish I could do something to help this other person. But then the other 50 people are like robots, and there's literally like no emotion. If anything, I saw a woman behind them right as she's finishing. She's smiling like ha ha ha. Like, I don't know, we're gonna go have a breakfast. And I don't know, guys, like, am I built different? Am I, as a defense attorney, as a personal injury attorney, am I not supposed to have emotion? Because I found myself, I had a vehicular homicide a few years ago. My client caused the death of a young child. Very, very much, you know, this situation, but instead of the mom passing, it was a young child. Under 5. And even as I advocated for my client, like with that prosecutor behind closed doors, and I advocated, you know, kind of the defenses in the case, I still was understanding of that victim. I still, honestly, during the plea, I was in tears. I couldn't even hold it. I don't know, call me a big wimp, call me, you know, whatever you want to call me, but even though I'm advocating this, I like the loss of a child, the loss of any life, an adult. I don't care if the person was 95 years old. The loss of a life due to someone else's recklessness, someone else's criminal activity is devastating. It's devastating. And I wonder, you know, I've seen other, I'm sitting there, I don't know, am I a little girl watching, you know, like telenovelas and, you know, the Korean soap operas and the sad stories, and I'm tearing up because it hurts me. It hurts my soul that another person is going through this pain, and the other 50 people in the courtroom, besides the prosecutor and the victim advocate, don't really seem to give two shits. I don't know, guys. And tell me, like, maybe, you know, maybe because it's not happening to them, they're not cognizant of it. They're not aware of it. I don't know. But it was happening to me because I felt the pain of this woman who lost a child, who's now raising the grandchild because her daughter's not there to do it. The pain that woman exhibited in her words, in her mannerisms, just the kind of slumped head, and through all that pain, her faith in God, she looked at the defendant, and I could never see the defendant, so I don't know how he acted. I didn't hear him say anything. I didn't hear him give an apology, and you know, what kind of apology could you give? I get it, but this woman forgave the defendant who killed her daughter, who left her grandchild without a mother. I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I don't know. I just think that we as a society should pay attention to other people, that we should be empathetic to other people's pain. I think it's called humanity. Humanity. Tell me what you think about humanity. I'm Roger P. Foley. Thanks for listening.